The first job I'm going to do today, involving this bit of filter floss. I'm just going to lay it like that. It's swimming round kind of there and round. That bit there's not too bad. I'm reasonably happy with that bit. And round there, I removed all the weeds yesterday. Took those plants that are around the front and replanted. It is Sunday, start of a new week. Not entirely sure what I'm doing today. Back to work tomorrow, last day of annual leave. Right, the first job I'm going to do today, let's spin you around, is involving this bit of filter floss. I've had a plan for a while that I'm going to stick some filter floss on top of one of the static beds in the multi-bay. So today, good morning fish, today I'm going to do it. So I think I'll start just with this one, and I'm just gonna, I didn't put the tray on properly, so some of the media's escaping. I'm just going to lay it like that. I'm just going to see what that collects really and how it works. It can't really block the water because the water can just overflow it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just going to stick that in and see how it gets on and see whether it collects anything, does a bit more mechanical filtration. If so, I might stick another one in there, although that'll be a little trickier because I might in some way attach it to that top tray. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. Right. Now when I filled up the pond after the filter change, because we've got a lot of rain coming over the next few days, I left about an inch off really. I didn't fill it up completely. And it's already come up about half an inch, I reckon, from that with the rain we've had. There's the little fishies down there. There's the rudd, getting bigger every day. Even though, as you may or may not know, I don't actually feed them. No. Although they are getting close to the stage where I might start. And I'm trying to get a little glimpse of the common and its fin, just to see how it's healing up. Now, I have said that it doesn't look brilliant. That's its good fin. I have said that the fin doesn't look brilliant, and it doesn't. And I never expected it to look perfect. Also, in the days and maybe a couple of weeks after something like that, it's going to look worse than it will eventually. But I'm pretty convinced it's not going to look brilliant. But we'll see. Ultimately, the reason I did it wasn't really for looks. It was because the split was getting worse and there was actually a bit of red showing. That big bang was my ever so silent cat. There was a bit of red showing on it, and I thought things were getting worse, so I thought I needed to do something. There were a number of options, and suturing was the option I went with. I could super glue it. People do super glue as well, which is maybe a plan B. And some people actually cut away, I think it's what's called the spine. So it's just the fin, and the fish seems to get on fine without it. But I don't really want to do that. So I think if this doesn't work as, even 50% well, I might consider super gluing. But to be honest, I think if it stays reasonably attached over the next few weeks, I'll probably leave it as is. Right then, let's go get some food. Now, one of my cats really likes any of the fish food I feed my fish, and likes to come out when I feed them to see if I drop any, which I invariably do. And that is that cat. She'll eat any of them. That cat there, who's the evil bird hunting cat, she only likes this food, the sakir curry, expensive food. She doesn't like any old cheapy fish food. As always, as I say, that carp with carp pox is so often the first one up. And it's kind of like, what's it called, the dither fish. The fish that kind of gets all the others confident. It's quite amazingly consistent, and it'll be the first to come close, at least, even if it's not the first one to actually feed. You know, and as you may well know, carp pox is only very rarely something that has big problems for a fish, really, as long as it doesn't overtake them, get in their gills and stop them feeding and that sort of thing. It's really a really problematic thing. It is only on sight. And the carp pox this summer has got way better than it did last summer. And we'll just see how it goes over winter. And fish can lose it completely, and it can come back. But yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. You know, as I've said many times, my fish aren't show fish. And there's my cat looking for drop pellets. Yeah, so that's my first job this week. I'm back to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so only a 3-day week. So I think what I'm going to do this week is, it's all a bit weather dependent though, isn't it? So I'm definitely going to want to do a few jobs. First of all, I want to finish off the paving. I have got some more. You can't really see because it's in a cardboard box. I've got some more of the pointing sand for the gap, so I can do that. And I want to finish all that off, as well as the pavers around the path to the right of the pond and tidying up, the right of the filter shed, and just tidying that area up and where all the rocks are. Yeah, so I definitely want to finish that. I also want to, one of the jobs I didn't get done at all last week, that I may have mentioned to you, and I will take you back outside. Just briefly take you outside. All the pink and purple coloured weedy plants out there, I'm going to take out, because although they look pretty for a couple of weeks every year, they are weeds. They overtake everything else, and I don't really like them. So what my plan is, let me show you, is to remove them. Front garden. See these plants here? All these plants down here, not the weeds, but all the white coloured plants and the green surrounding. I want to kind of transplant them to where all those weeds are. Now, yesterday, dodging the rain, I topped up the pellets all around there where we keep our bins, although we also keep some plaster I've got to get rid of. So I topped up all those pellets out of this bag, and yeah, not many left in that bag now. So towards the end of the week, I think I can finally get rid of those pellets, which will be great. So yeah, so I want to swap those plants over, which will mean getting in the pond, dig all the weeds out, dig those nice plants from out the front, and then transplant them to that area, and hopefully that will look good, and they'll survive. I haven't got a great record of plants. Right, what other jobs might I do? It might depend a bit on what the weather does, as I've said, and what Facebook Marketplace springs up, because again, I'm still looking for turf, and I had a near miss. I nearly got some turf for free, and I was too late. Sad times. So yeah, that's really what I'm after this week. So it all depends what Facebook Marketplace and the weather turns up. If the weather's good, especially on my days off, I will do some stuff after work, because I'm not working full days next week either, as well as not a full week. Yes. So I will see you maybe later today, maybe not. Might see you tomorrow, or as I say, later today. Cheers. Bye. Hello. Well, it's Monday, and Monday means getting in the pond. So I do 2 jobs when I get in the pond. One is to use a net. Let's swing you around. One is to use a net, that net, and I just go along the bottom of the pond and get any detritus that my vacuum and my pump doesn't get. And I'll show you what I got today. And I try and get the stones and pebbles out. And then the other job is cutting the plants. And as you may have seen in my last vlog, they grow at least a foot in a week. So this time of year, which is good because they are eating nitrate to do that. And I've just got a couple of bags. Now, what I've also done, as you might be able to see over there, is that quite nice pink and green weeds I've pulled up. They're not the worst in the world, but I don't want them. And maybe at some point this week, if the weather is clement and I'm brave, I will get the plants from the front garden and move them over there. And I'll show you that later. Right, some other jobs I did yesterday, but I didn't get back to doing any filming, is I pointed around this broken paving stone, which will be replaced next year when I relay this whole patio, but it's just not worth it for this year. So I've just sort of cemented it in place. So it's nice and solid, not particularly level, but nice and solid, and then done some pointing. Now, what else I did yesterday is I did some pointing around here, all the bits that I didn't do when I ran out, all around there. I haven't done any more laying of pavers though, all around the sump, around there, around those ones, and round the front of the shed. Doesn't look brilliant, but I don't really care. I've also, there were some quite big gaps between the pavers and this rocky wall thing I've got here, and I had a bit of a bodgy kind of attempt at filling those gaps. I'm not sure I'm really happy with it, and I may take it apart and do it again, but we'll see. Now, the other thing that you may have seen I did yesterday was, hold on one second, I will put the light on in here, is I put some filter floss into one of the static beds, which I thought about doing for a long time. As you can see, it's quite brown. Yeah, it's really quite brown. So it's doing something. It's not affecting the flow through the system, because if that starts to get really blocked, it will just overflow it and then continue on its way. So I might continue with that. Now, my water temperature in the pond, 19.2. My pond, I mean, the temperature is pretty good today. Well, at least the temperature in the shed is pretty good today. My pond never really gets that hot, but it really loses temperature really slowly, which is super for keeping fish, because, you know, especially my type of carp, they can tolerate low temperatures and high temperatures, but what most fish don't like is sudden swings in temperature. And my pond never really has that. It's been quite warm, and now it's been quite cool for a while, but my pond is still up at about 19 degrees, so I'm pretty happy with that. I would show you the fish, and you may get a glimpse of them, but because I've been in the pond and I've been stirring things up, the water quality isn't that good at the moment, and also they're not super happy, so they're probably hiding quite a bit. And the common carp, since last week's surgery, is still is not really nervous, but it's just not quite as confident as it was, so it might take a little while before it is. So I'm going to leave them alone. What else to show you today? Just walk around here. I've still got my waders on, so my footsteps sound a bit clumpy. You may think, you've messed this up again, Andy, and you'd be right. Basically, because I was doing some of that work around the pavers and the edging and whatnot, I did some cutting of stones, or at least tried to, and I haven't tidied up yet. But it's still all good. So some of these offcuts of wood and things like that, and actually come up with something good. So, I mean, I made, see this desk here? I made that desk. It's not brilliant. It's very clunky, and it was made out of wood I had left over. I've been working from home today, as you can probably tell. But I made that out of some offcuts of OSB that I'd used to line the inside of the filter shed, and I laminated them together with many screws and glue, and then sanded and covered in varnish, and then made a surround that I painted black and some really over industrial legs. But yeah, it works. It was certainly, I think the only things I had to buy was the polyurethane varnish that I've got there, and the PVA. No, I had the PVA wood glue. The only thing I had to buy was the varnish and some wood screws. So I got an office desk that isn't awful for, you know, about 20 quid, I think, in the end, which is pretty good. That'll do for today. Thank you ever so much for tuning in, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow. Hello, it's Tuesday. Finished work, bit of an early finish, which is nice. And I've done a bit of a job on the pond, which did involve getting in the pond, but I will turn it around and show you what I've been up to. Right, so as you can see over there, I took all those plants that were around the front. I removed all the weeds yesterday, took those plants that are around the front and replanted them back there. I don't know how well they'll do. I know very little about plants, so let's hope. Gonna have a little check on the filter floss as I'm here. It's pretty mucky. It's not getting blocked or anything, so that's okay. We'll have a look at the water temperature. 20.8 degrees. Lovely. Yeah, it's very humid today. I must admit I was quite tempted to have a bit of a swim when I was in the pond, because yeah, it's really hot and the rain is actually quite nice. Yeah, that's probably it for me today. I'm a little bit tired, and there's nothing really else to do. Tomorrow after work I'm gonna start finishing the pavers, and what else am I gonna do? I'm going to, yeah, finish the pavers, finish the paving slabs and get all that done. Well, start it Wednesday, hopefully finish it on Thursday. I'm going to spin you around again. We'll just go out. So yeah, this is just going to show you where I took the plants from. And I've used up some of the spare pebbles and gravel and put them there. There's still a lot of tidying up to do, so I've just kind of put them there to move them in position, but there's a lot to do to tidy that up to make it look in any way nice. And not a lot left, and that will be going to the tip on Thursday. Yes, I can think of another use for it, which at the moment I can't. So yeah, that's that. Fish are doing well. I know what, let's give them a feed. That was a really bad throw because it just puts it all under the plants. And the problem with that is, as you might be able to see on the common carp, it's got a little bump on its head. And how they get them is by when they get up into the underneath that plant and start trying to get pellets. And especially when they're kind of being quite, what's the word, competitive in their feeding. So it's pretty dumb that I threw them under there actually, but I was just trying to avoid the lilies really. When I get in the pond and clean, as I was talking about yesterday, I do actually lift that plant up a bit, and it's amazing how much detritus gets caught in that plant. That's another good reason for coming in the pond. It's another good reason for getting in the pond, really. I'm going to have a look at that carp skin. I think what I'm going to do, maybe at the weekend, because we might actually have some sun, is put the GoPro in the pond and then get a better look at that fin. Yeah, as I've been saying, I'm not hugely positive about the outcome, but hasn't done it any harm. It hasn't done it any harm, so yeah, it's worth trying. And yeah, I will see you again tomorrow, and I'll give you a little idea of how far I get with the pavers. Yeah, and then Thursday hopefully I'll finish off all the paving I'm going to do until next year when I overhaul the whole patio, which I'm looking forward to and not looking forward to. I'm looking forward to because it really needs doing, but I'm not really looking forward to because I'm not very good at it and it's quite a big job. I am definitely going to hire a cement mixer because yeah, making it by hand isn't a lot of fun. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow. Hello, this is Wednesday afternoon. Finished work a couple of hours ago and cracked on with some jobs. One which worked and one which was quite a failure. Right, let's start with the failure. I'll just turn you around. Right then, see that there? Excuse me, that's the drainage. So that takes water from the Tempest and the moving bed and the pressure filter and sends it to the sump. And originally I just set it up with some rubber boots, but because I'm cementing all around there and generally tidying it up, and it used to be pebbles, as you probably know, I decided I'd replace it with some, there we go, that's the right way, some solvent weld stuff. And I dug out some solvent weld pipe and I was ready to go. And yeah, replace all of that and it was going to be great. Unfortunately, I went to get out my trusty glue, and I'm just doing this one hand, it might take a while. Yeah, it's kind of charitable to say it's a little out of date, perhaps. So yeah, couldn't get that done. But as you see from those bags and all the other stuff I've got out, I have done some work. And what that work is preparing this area here for the last of my paving. Now there's 2 paving blocks behind that blue bag, and I'm going to fit them across there. Sorry, terrible filming. And then I'm going to fill all the gaps with the last of my pavers. I may need a few more. And there's going to be a kind of a step there. I did think about sloping it up, but I think I'll just do a step. And that will be the last of it. So no more paving, I think. Oh, until I completely redo the patio. So that'll be what I'll be doing tomorrow. So yeah, as I said, that'll be what I'm doing tomorrow. And I think I should get it all finished, to be honest. Unless I miscut 100 times. I'm got to take that stuff to the tip and the last of the pebbles to the tip. Not the pellets, as I've called them in one video. Don't know why. Yeah, and I'm also picking up some free speed fit pipe. So that can go away in the garage until I can get the rest of the bits to put another tap down this end of the garden, because it would just be quite convenient to have one down here. It wouldn't be something I used directly into the pond, but used it for cleaning and that sort of stuff. It would be useful. So yeah, that's my plan for tomorrow. Now I've got 6 days off now, which is really nice. I know you're going to be thinking, you work part-time. I don't actually work part-time, but I'm working part-time at the moment. You've only done 3 days and now I've got 6 days off. I know, it's great. I will at some point in the video explain to you why. But hopefully, I know the weather's nice tomorrow. Friday's a bit on and off, Saturday's a bit on and off, and Sunday's a bit on and off. It's not great. Hopefully we'll get a couple of dry days. Because I still have quite a few jobs that I would like it to be a little bit drier for. Yeah, so there you go. That's my Wednesday really. I've just got to tidy up, which isn't my favourite part of the job, but I am much better at getting it done. Oftentimes I would just leave everything out in the garden, but I'm much better now. I do tidy everything up. So yeah, I will show you how that goes tomorrow, and I'll maybe talk through how I do pavers. It's not advisable. Certainly how I cut them. Sneak preview, bit of a spoiler. I use a grinder, is that the right word? I don't know what the tools are called, to kind of like make an initial cut all the way around, and then I hammer them. That I find is the best combination of accuracy, no breaks where you don't want them, but not 7 tons of dust all around your garden, basically. So that's how I do that. Anyway, I think that's it for now. Fish are fine. Fish are fine. I had a good glimpse of the commons fin today, and I wasn't confident. I may eat my words. It may be great. I do think I ought to clarify. I will have to take him out to take the stitch. Him. I think him is a she. She's a she. I will have to take her out to take the stitches out, which is at which point I'll decide if I'm going to do anything else. And if I do something else, it's probably going to be super glue, like I was saying the other day, and I'll do that there and then. Really, I'll take the stitches out and see what it's like, and I may put a bit of super glue, because I think that has got the best chance of working and works relatively quickly. And you know, it was invented to stitch wounds together. So yeah. Anyway, I think that'll do for today. I don't think there's a huge amount to show you. And I will catch back up with you tomorrow. So, hello. This morning's not gone as I planned. I'm in a bit of a weird position because I'm just about to feed the fish. I've had a couple of Facebook Marketplace pickups. I had a tip visit and I had to go to Wix to get some more pavers. But Wix click and collect is usually really accurate. It's usually half an hour, but I ended up waiting 2 hours. So it's not even morning anymore. But I'm going to crack on with my work. But first, I'm going to feed the fish because I think that's more fun. So. So I do a little bit of feeding them like this every now and again, and they're slowly getting used to it. And I think when they open the gate and they sit down, I think they kind of know they're going to be fed. Comes the common. The common's not keen. Definitely generally a little bit more nervous since I netted him and sewed up his fin. I was kind of hoping they'd come quite close and I could get a better look at the fin. And certainly a better look at the fin on camera, but they're really generally just a bit more spooked than normal. But I think on top of netting the common, I've been doing quite a lot around the pond, which isn't my usual routine, so that might explain it. See, this one with carp pox, he'll come close. He or she will come quite close quite quickly. Definitely, I think, the bravest. The common's almost coming round to see if I'm still here. It's quite weird. It's swimming. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it's swimming round kind of there and round, but then clocking me and then swimming away. So yeah, they are generally very hungry at the moment, and that's because, you know, it's still over 20 degrees in the pond. So although our summer's not brilliant, 20 degrees is a good temperature for my pond, so I'm pretty happy. Right, I'm going to leave them alone and get on with my work, and I will see you later. Hello. Well, busy afternoon, and as usual, things don't end up quite as well as I'd like them to, but as I said, I am rubbish at this. Don't seem to be getting much better the more I do. I think maybe I'm a little bit tired of setting pavers into the ground. Anyway, I shall show you what I've got up to. Let me turn you around. Right then, off we go. I'll show you this side first. You see I've done pavers up the side of that path, over to there. It's all looking a bit wet now because I've obviously put the pointing sand in and then wet it down. But yeah, I mean, it looks all right. It doesn't look brilliant. Yeah, once I fill in the earth, I'm going to kind of level all the earth. I'm going to move all those rocks. I don't know quite what to do with them. Partly I'm thinking, let me see if I can get a view for you. Partly I'm thinking to make that area into kind of a rockery, maybe. Or I'm just going to turf it. I haven't decided. I don't know what to do with those rocks, but as I found out recently in one of my videos, those rocks cost a lot of money. So I don't know what I want to do. That is my last bit. Oh, I need to tidy up, and I'll do that in a bit. Right, let's go and have a look at the other bit. There's my fish. These fish have been fed intermittently all day. So they are slowly getting the idea that if I'm by the pond, there might be food. Anyway, here's the bit I finished today. Oh, and it's bodged. Amazingly bodged, as you can see. I filled that gap. I did try to cut a bit of old paver into that thin shape that's kind of there down to there, and it didn't work. So then I cut individual pavers, broke one and just had a bit of a strop and then just put them in and put the pointing sand. That bit there's not too bad. I'm reasonably happy with that bit, and around there that's all right, and then around there we won't show that bit yet. Yeah, most of that I'm kind of happy with. You can tell that was the bit I did first today. And then I had about 20 ideas what to do with this bit, and I ended up doing that. Yeah, I might change that. I might change all of this bit at some point in the future, or it might just stay like that forever. Anyway, let me just turn you around again. Yeah, I found that relatively hard work today, I'll be honest with you. I don't really, I kind of enjoy it in that, you know, I am improving what I had there before and making it look, you know, 10% nicer than it was. But I think part of the problem, especially around this area of the garden, is we're right below that tree, and that does kind of complicate things a little bit, just because it's so much stuff falling down, as you can see. And I've just realised there's a bit I've missed. I'll ignore it and pretend it's not there, I think, until I get some energy and enthusiasm for doing this again. Because it's kind of pond related in as much as, you know, it works around the pond, and, you know, the pond is a major part of the garden and it's part of the garden. But I'd really like to get away from this and onto something a bit more exciting. So hopefully I will. I've got a few other jobs I need to do this week. I'm going to turn to my garage. I'm going to make something even less connected with ponds for my recycling boxes and stuff. I'm hoping to make a bit of storage for that. I may show you that. I won't show you me making it, but I may show you that I've done it. And what else do I have to do this week? Probably going to have to get in the pond and look at the pump again because the water's slowed up. But I'll live with that. I think there's so much different kind of plants and foliage in the garden and around the garden, you know, from outside, that kind of die off and drop leaves and sticks and twigs at all different times of year, that really from spring onwards I'm fighting a battle with plant matter getting in the pond. So yeah, it's a bit of a pain, but that'll do. Work done again. I know I talked yesterday and I didn't really mention it when I showed you it, but I was gonna put some solvent well pipe and stuff and I didn't, and you may have glimpsed that I've got rubber boots below ground. I'm not that worried. I think because it's, you know, it's not a thing that regularly water flows through. It's not part of the filtration system. It's when I'm pushing water out of the system. So I don't really think that if it develops a drip, it's a big problem. If I notice there is an issue, then, you know, it's an inch, 2 inches of concrete, and it's not around all of it, so I can just chip it away and then redo it. So I don't think it's too much to worry. If it was part of the actual filtration itself, it would be more of an issue, but it's not. It's the drainage, so that's fine. Anyway, let's end by feeding the fish. I think that's a good idea. I'll turn you around again. And there is the food. That was quite full. I've been, chucking in food whenever I've got bored with doing the paving, which I gotta admit, it's most of the day. I'll just pour some in there. Oh, and where should I throw it? I'm gonna throw it. Oh, that's the worst throw I've ever done. I don't think they even saw that. Oh yeah, they did. The little ones did. The common carp was kind of oblivious, but they've picked it up now. It may seem like a silly place to throw it because it's just going to go to the skimmer, but actually it takes a while to get to the skimmer, even though it's quite close. And there they go. They have had a lot of food today. There's a common moving around because there's some pellets still in the bushes. Plants. Right, I'm going to call that a day. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll hopefully have something to show you tomorrow. Cheerio. Hello, it's early Friday afternoon. I've been relatively busy, not super busy, but relatively busy. I've done some stuff around the house, which is not very interesting, I won't bore you with. I've also cleaned some buckets, some of which I use with the pond, some of which I don't, but I just took the power washer out to them and gave them a clean. I've also done some work more directly related to the pond. So the heron fence, as you may know, which this is part of, is made up of some round posts, some decking rope, and this black plastic mesh, which in the scheme of things, as long as an otter doesn't try and chew through it, is pretty robust, to be honest. But in a few places around, it's developed some holes. So I did some running repairs. So as you can see, mainly to the gate, I did some running repairs. And they're not super important because, you know, it's there to keep out herons. But it does have another purpose, which I'll come to in a minute. And herons couldn't fit through those gaps. But some of those holes, once they start, will then start to get bigger over time. So the reason for me repairing them is just to stop them getting bigger, basically. The other job I did, as you'll see as I show you a little insert up there again, was to make sure that the mesh was attached to the rope. Now I've done it with cable ties, which is my default tool for this kind of thing, which doesn't look particularly good. I did have a plan to use fishing line, but I had some very old fishing line which didn't really hold up, but I might over time get some new fishing line and replace the cable ties with fishing line, which will mean it's hidden a bit. And again, that's for a couple of purposes really. One, to just make it look all neater, and the other is it enables both the mesh and the rope to kind of keep the right shape, because as the rope gets wet and dries out, it kind of changes shape. I guess it constricts and contracts and that sort of thing. So it just kind of helps it keep shape. Now it's especially important because as I've gone round and installed pavers, the mesh now is really embedded into the ground and around the pavers, and it's got a lot more kind of pressure and tightness. So both being attached to the top rope and also developing holes is more of a problem really, because there's more tension on it. So I went round and I did that. Now as you can see, again in this little clip, at the back there was, I didn't entirely finish it. There was more of a problem where it was joining at the bottom. And the reason I didn't finish that today is, as you may know, you might have seen in previous videos, I've put some sort of temporary extra stones around where the pavers meet the raised planted area, which comprises these big stones. But I'm not entirely happy about it. I don't know if I'm going to change it. So I'm actually going to repair that mesh and also fix it into the ground better once I know what stones I'm putting there. So that'll be another job. Maybe next week, maybe I'll just take a fancy to doing it at some point. But yeah, I think that was a reasonably simple job and a job reasonably well done, although it could look a little better. And I will kind of get into the habit of checking the fence more regularly. Now, the fence serves two purposes. Its main purpose is to keep herons out, and it does that in a particular way, and I won't necessarily bore you with how it does that. Watch the video. I can never remember. I'll put the video of where I talk about why this works to keep out herons, even though the top of the pond is open. But it serves another purpose, which is kind of a side effect, and I hadn't planned it, but I'm quite happy about it. So ever since I have had this pond, and actually even before I had a pond, we've had a lot of frogs in the garden. Now I've got quite clay soil, and even when we had a lawn of sorts, frogs would come into the garden because clay soil in winter and just autumn and spring really gets quite wet and waterlogged, and frogs quite liked it. But I've never really wanted a lot of frogs in this pond, and the major reason is I don't like frogs personally. I don't find them engaging animals, but also they add to the bioload of the pond. You know, they eat and defecate and do all that stuff, so they add to the bioload. They also spawn in the pond, and at one point I counted 15 in the pond. That was a while ago. But since I've had this fence with the mesh embedded into the ground, I've had far less frogs. And also since I put the otter protection in, new frogs haven't really been able to get to the garden. So as I found frogs in the pond, netted them out, took them to the stream, which is where they come from, that's about 50, 60 yards away from my house, the frog population has just decreased and decreased. And for the last 2 years, I've not had any frog spawn either. So that's really good. But what I want to do is, because occasionally I have the back gate open, so frogs could come in there, I want to make sure that there's no easy way for frogs, if they come into the garden, to get into the pond. So on top of making the mesh complete all the way around and free of holes, I've also changed things to the gate, as you can see up there now. And that is, I've added some pond liner. I found the pond liner. This is not exciting really to anyone but me, but I knew I had loads of pond liner somewhere, and when I sorted out the garage recently and sorted out all my pond stuff, I found it in the bottom of the box, and it's quite a lot, so how I couldn't see it I don't know, but I found it because I've got a project in my head that I'll probably never do, and I may talk about, I may not. But also I wanted to do this particular project, and what this is just adding something that needed to be kind of relatively soft but also quite strong at the bottom of the gate, where there is quite a big gap and a frog could definitely get through. And also I've noticed smaller birds will come under the gate and then potentially get into the pond, which isn't a huge problem, but I'd rather they didn't. Mainly because you never know what things birds are carrying. So yeah, so I added that, and again it looks a bit ugly and I'm not sure if I'm that impressed with it. But it's doing the job, it's making it a bit harder. Now, one of the things I also want to do in this area is I'd really quite like to change the lid that sits on the skimmer, and obviously that'll mean making one myself. And there's two reasons for that. One, I want it to be just kind of flat all the way across from the top of the pavers right across, which it's not. But I'd also like to make it something I can stand on as well, because at the moment you can kind of stand on it, but it gives. Simon Scott, he says, name dropping, when he was here delivering my fish, my new common, he stood on it and he was really apologetic, but it's kind of a bit worrying when you first stand on it. You think it's going to break. And I would like to put something more robust across it. So any ideas, please share. The obvious thing is some wood, I guess, or maybe some metal, or maybe even some brick. I don't know, but I want something that sort of fits in with the pavers, fits in with all the other stuff I've got around the pond, like the heron fence and everything else, but will kind of give a more robust surface that I could maybe stand on, because it'll just make it easier really when I'm getting in and out of the pond as I do, or when I stand pond vacuuming or feeding the fish, or sat down here like I am now. It will just make things a bit easier. So yeah, that's my thoughts. So any ideas, please share. Now that's about it really for today. I've got one more job to do today, and that's again tangentially related to the pond, in that I'm clearing up my garage. I may find some more pond stuff. I'm always seem to be clearing up my garage. So anyway, enough waffle for this Friday afternoon. I probably won't come back today with whatever I get done, and I will see you tomorrow. Again, it's Saturday, so Saturday is pond clean, filter clean day. So I will see you again tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and I'll get back to you in a minute. So good morning, it is Saturday. I'll just turn you around straight away. Right, and as you can see, it's pond and filter day, so the pond's just topping up. It's a start of a little bit of algae, not a lot, just kind of a few little fluffy bits about an inch long in various points around the pond. But other than that, no worries. I'm not going to do anything yet, mainly because I can't afford to buy any treatment for it. But yeah, the pond's doing good. I'm not sure of those plants. I'm not sure how well they're going to do, but we will see. Hopefully they'll survive. They're quite hardy. What else to show you that I've been up to? So I've sorted out this area, moved all the rocks, sorted out the earth a little bit. I'm still unsure what I'm going to do with this. Obviously it's a very small space. I wasn't sure whether to just turf it when I turf the rest of it, or do something else. I'm either going to turf it when I turf the rest of it, or I was going to plant some kind of wildflowers and things like that. It's just the earth is really rubbish, as you could probably tell. So I'm not entirely sure what to do with that. Any ideas? Gratefully received. I did have this plan to build a kind of fake stream. This is before I put this path in. A kind of fake stream that sort of disappeared into an orange pipe to match that orange pipe, but literally just went down to a holding space and then was pumped around it in a circle. But I don't know if I can be bothered, for one, and two, electrics would be a kind of issue because I'm up to my maximum in what I've got in the shed. So I don't know, that was my plan, but I think I might just turn this into something that looks nice instead. Don't know, haven't decided. Like I say, any ideas, gratefully received. The fish are doing well, no problems, very hungry. I think that's it for outside. Right, let's go into the garage, which obviously means less pond related stuff, but it's all interesting. Right, so it's tidied up once again. So all of this area is my kind of like patio and concrete kind of stuff. So that's the pointing sand. In that box is sand, In the white box is ballast. They're just some empty but clean buckets. That's some more bags if I ever need them. And in this box is cement, some open, some not. So I've made this lid for it because it doesn't come with a lid. This is super exciting stuff. There you go. And this lid fits on nicely and has become a bench as well. So that was a happy coincidence. And there's just various rubbish. That's the speed fit pipe that I picked up on Marketplace. And that's my telly. And I'm just going to sit down and finish off this vlog. Right, yeah, so another week done in the pond and garden. And it's been quite a good week. Probably not quite as busy as last week, but I've had to work. Terrible. So, yeah, I've got quite a few jobs done. I've obviously finished off the pavers. I've sorted out the area to the right of the shed. I've done some little bits around the heron fence and the gate, and yeah, got a fair few stuff done. I am tomorrow going to put the camera in the pond and film the fish and try and get a view of the carp's fin. Now, a lot of the fish have got a few knocks on them, and it's not because of flashing or anything like that, because they're doing well. I think it's because of that plant that overhangs the pond, and because a lot of the pellets end up under there, and when they get really competitive with feeding, that part is quite I can't think of it, the branches and stems, for want of a better word, aren't particularly flexible. So I think when the fish bump into them, because they half come out of the water when they're getting pellets, especially when they're fighting for them, I think that's where they're hurting the top of their head on a fish. Where's that? Sort of there. And I think that's probably where they're getting those injuries from. I haven't seen them do anything else. And as I say, I've been around the pond a lot. I have the video on all the time. So yeah, not sure about that. But I'll have a closer look on the GoPro and I'll show you the footage. I'm also going to be editing the surgical operation video, which I was meant to do this week, but I haven't got it done. So I'll be editing that, and I might share some sort of stills or a few little clips, and I'll put that together. But as I say, I won't release it until I've got the carp out and I've removed the sutures, and then we can see what the final result's like. Now, that could be as soon as 2 weeks after, which I think I'm kind of at, or I'm kind of approaching. Rubbish with time. But I'll have a look. But I'm going to leave it as long as it needs, really. I don't want to take them out too early. And obviously, netting a fish to take out sutures is a sort of risky thing for fins. So I'm going to be careful. I will, as I said, had super glue at the ready, because I might use a little bit of super glue on it. And then once I put that carp back after that, unless it goes right back to what it was, I'm going to leave it alone after that. Anyway, if you've got this far, I did say I was going to try and make these vlogs about 20 minutes. I think this is even longer than last week's probably. But if you've made it this far, thank you very much. I am currently on 907 subscribers, so I am 93 away from the 1,000. Thank you very much. If you're a subscriber, recently subscribed, or you've been subscribed for years, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. If you're new and you haven't subscribed, please have a think of subscribing. Please like if you've liked. Please comment. Please subscribe. And I will see you next time.